I am sure that you've definitely been hearing about how founders are now building their own product with speed, particularly with the help of AI. But one thing that you might not know is that 80% of these founders run into problems that make them quit halfway. So if this is something that resonates with you, then this video is for you, as I'll be giving you clear processes as to how you should be building with AI in 2026. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Bright Mark. I've been a product designer for over 5 years, helping teams design and build products. And in the last 6 months, I've been building SaaS products with AI, and now I now help early stage founders build their MVP in 14 days. And I've watched non-technical founders make these same expensive mistakes over and over again, and I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid them. By the end of this video, you would have a clear step-by-step process for going from ideation to a working MVP. Whether you've been able to build out your product successfully or not, there is definitely something for you here. So there are 5 key points you need to have in mind before you start building, and I'm going to walk you through each one of them. So without wasting much of your time, let's get into it. Quick one, so if you want to check out the PROD video that I mentioned in step 2, I've dropped the link in the description. So the first thing you want to do before you touch any tool is validate the idea that you're building for. And like I mentioned here, don't ask a friend. Now, the reason why you don't want to ask a friend is they like you and they will not want to hurt your feeling. You're just going to get things like, oh, cool, this is nice, people will use it, right? And at the end of the day, there's a chance they're never the ones you're building for. So don't ask your friends. Instead, you do 2 things. You build a wait list and you ask random strangers. You want to pick about 10 of them and ask them this question: how are you solving this problem right now? So let's say you want to build a product for let's say nursing mothers, or mothers who just gave birth. You definitely want to go ask these mothers how are they solving the particular problem in that point in time. You can't just sit where you are, go online, read about things and just believe that that is how it works in real life. It doesn't work that way. You have to actually ask them how they are currently. Then of course, when you ask people these questions, you're going to get 2 types of responses. One that I call the polite signal, and another one I call the real signal, which is what you're basically looking for. Now, what are polite signals? Example of a polite signal is the generic praise, like, oh, this is interesting, nice idea, I would use this. I mean, it's just words, nothing. Then you also get hypotheticals, or I would use it if you add this and this, or people might need this. This doesn't really hold water. And when you start getting this kind of response from people, it just shows that they are not fully interested and you should move on to the next person. You can also get a response like, they don't have a current problem for it. So you get things like, I don't really have this issue, but whatever suggestion they give to you, then maybe in the future. Now, this is not the person you're building for because they don't need it. They can't even help you in the moment. Then the 4th kind of response you get is, no follow-up behavior. They don't follow up, they don't reply after, they don't ask anything, they don't even try to introduce you to other people, right? And next is feature suggestions too early. Immediately they're already asking you to add this and that. Now you do not want to get these kind of responses, right? These are not the kind of responses that you want, right? But now the ones that you're looking for is what I call the real signal. An example is, first, they talk about their current behavior that aligns with what you're building. For instance, right now I use X. It's annoying because this then gives you ideas as to what makes sense and how you could actually go on to improve your product so that it becomes something that they would use as opposed to what they're currently using. You get the point? And you get things like, we hacked together a spreadsheet for this, or we have to put together a spreadsheet to do this. Now your tool is here, it's going to help us, right? Then you want this. Then next is you get they show up corresponds like emotions actually, where they show the pain intensity, they complain, they rant, and they try to get specific to explain the key points as to what they are suffering from. The next is they mention time and money wasted, and this sort of like gives you that nudge, that real satisfaction as to, okay, you are in the right place and you're doing the right thing. Then next, you also get they also get to tell you that they've spent money on alternatives and the possible problems they had, right? They also get to tell you they hired someone. Then next, so they get to ask you questions, right? They ask you how it would work, when can they try it, and if you can do, I mean, X and Y. And a good example is a product that I'm working on for a friend of mine. It's a product that helps Christians improve their prayer life, and he's spoken to pastors and church members, and they love the idea of being able to get reminders to help them pray every day. The next is the commit, right? They give you their emails, they pay you, or they show you someone else. The next is the pushback. Now the next is the step 2. You want to write your PRD. Your PRD basically means your product required document, and in simpler terms, this just help you have a clear idea or a clear picture, well documented as the single source of truth for what you're going to be building in the coming days and weeks, right? And the key component of this PRD is the details on the user, details on the core flow, and definition of done. What does done mean? Because if you don't define what done mean, you're going to keep building forever and ever. Amen. And I mean, time is going, right? The next is what out of scope equally means and why it's important. And a good way to check for what out of scope means is ask, can the user actually complete the main task you're using the product for without this particular feature? If the answer is yes, then just push it aside. At this moment, it's noise. Just push it aside. You don't need it. Then equally, you also want to have details on the technology, right? If you're using Supabase for your database or Primer, or you're using, then for your authentication, are you using Clark? Are you pushing to Vassell, or are you using Railwheel, or are you using Next? I mean, all these questions are questions you get to answer, which is why you need to do deep. PLD is something you just ask AI to just write. You need to, yes, you can use AI, but you need to understand what you're asking, right? It should help you have a clearer idea of what you're doing before you even get your hands dirty in the real work. Then step 3 is you want to map the user journey. Now, you don't want to go past 5 steps maximum, and I'll explain, right? So you want to go from where the user starts, what they do, what success looks like. And when it comes to mapping the user journey, you want to look at what does it take for them to go from downloading your app to completing the task. You want to make it, let it hit as quick as possible. Reduce the onboarding time. Make sure they get the main meat really quick. That way, they would want to use your product, and it's easier for them to share without getting frustrated, and be happy to talk to people about what you've built, right? And of course, I also mentioned here the onboarding moments. It's very important, and of course, there are common places to this onboarding area, and this whole user flow thing is usually where founders lose their hard-earned users. I mean, you build a wait list, you get people in. When you finally get them to use the product, they are lost, because I mean, you've built, only God knows what you've built there, right? You've added about 10 different gates before they get to the main product. I mean, you don't do that now. Attention span is very small. You need to hit them really quick. Then moving on, step 4, you want to design before you build, actually, or at least you want to have the designs ready before you build. Now, what that means is you want to use tools like maybe the Figma, and the goal is to build your mood board. And if you're a designer, it helps you. You can design your screens and have it ready. Or you want your benchmarking. Benchmarking basically means looking at what competitors are doing and trying to see where you fit in based off what all your competitors have done, UI and UX wise. Then of course, we have AI now, so you don't want to look like the guy that is still stuck in olden days. But there are some products that still require you getting a UI designer. But for a start, you can actually do without one, right? You can just, and for how to do it, I'm going to make a separate video to explain in details how you actually get a good UI as a non-creative person or non-designer. I'm going to make another video on that. But yeah, you can just collect these inspirations, build your mood board, and feed them to the AI tools as skills with clear description, and that should help you explain to the model what you're trying to build, and it's gonna help you build it. You understand? And of course, you can just plug in your design system, maybe system like Referral, Chatcn, and the likes. And of course, you want to do the 5 second test. What is this 5 second test? It just says, when can a stranger understand this flow without you explaining? When they get on the platform, do they understand that this button does this? Do they understand that this button uh, signs out, or this button downloads, or this button go to the next screen? Do they understand it without you being there to explain? If they don't, then you've done something else. So make sure they actually understand. Then next is what you could use design tools like Google Stitch, the VO variant, which I used to actually build this game. There's this game I built, the Hex Royale with Figma Make. I used variant to get the UI actually, and yeah, these are where you could actually get your AI tools. Then of course, once you have your design put together, you can now go on to build with whatever tool you prefer. If you could use Cloud Code, Codex, I think there's VO or something. I think VO, Lovable, Weblitz. I prefer anti-gravity, so that's basically what I use, anti-gravity. And so yeah, that's about it. So these are the 5 steps that prevent you from quitting or building with the usual AI slop faster. And it's clear, no guesswork, and these are the whole process. So you could just rewatch this if any part is not clear, or just let me know or ask your questions in the comment. I'll be happy to actually respond to you. And of course, if you need more explanation on the PRA document, there's a video down there that you can go watch how to create your PRD for your MVP. It's well detailed actually. And of course, check it out before you open any tool. It's very important you understand how to build this PRD yourself. And of course, if you're stuck building your SaaS product and you want me to look at any stage of your development process, just DM me the word MVP on Twitter or on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help. And you can find the link to these socials in my description as well.